Censorship. It's all around us. From brand logos being blurred out in movies to the clean versions of explicit music being played on the radio. However, there was a time before proper censorship existed, when rap containing violent, sexual, or offensive ideas came unwarned. To set the scene, black rap came into fruition in the 1970s in the Bronx as an African American cultural movement. But by the late 80s, audiences were as white as they were black. Its influence was vast, so nearly everyone heard it, intentionally or not. In the late 80s and early 90s, the government saw total censorship as the only solution to the issue of profane rap. This is the story of how the Two Live Crew fought for our First Amendment rights. Although they sparked controversy with their explicit lyrics, the Two Live Crew fought for their freedom of speech and gave immunity to the music industry from government censorship. Luther Campbell and Christopher Wong, the individuals of whom the Two Live Crew consisted, were not the first rappers to receive negative attention from government officials. In the mid-1980s, rap music began to receive critical reactions. During a show featuring the rap group Run DMC in Long Beach, California, violence from members of the crowd caused many people to become physically injured. The mayor of the town threatened to ban groups like Run DMC from being allowed to play in Long Beach. Joe Simmons, a member of the group, voiced his response, saying, "People that put rap down ain't listening to what we're talking about. They think we're just ghetto kids bragging. But we're handing out a lot of information on what the world is like." Following Run DMC, the group Public Enemy used rap to promote radical ideas, specifically as a political platform for Black Power. From the album It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, the song Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos glorified prison riots. To prevent rioting, Rikers Island Prison had this song banned soon after its release in 1988. However, government constraint intensified even more when NWA released their infamous album Straight Outta Compton. The particular song which drew attention was F the Police. The song was accused of promoting violence against police officers and accusations of police brutality. The FBI sent a letter to the group's recording label reading, "Law enforcement officers dedicate their lives to the protection of our citizens, and recordings such as the one from NWA are both discouraging and degrading to these brave, dedicated officers." Now having reached a federal level, government powers had all but legally and officially involved themselves in the active censorship of rap artists. The next step was taken when Two Live Crew stepped to the scene, inviting government to further violate First Amendment rights. With its sexually explicit content, the music of the Two Live Crew shocked the public, triggering a string of court cases, asking whether their music was protected by the First Amendment or not. Most of the general population did not take well to the nature of their music. To give a general idea, this is the second half and not the second quarter. I until you sleep. You would sleep like a baby. And critics voiced the concerns of most unprepared listeners and viewers. One journalist stated, "The Two Live Crew are like adolescents who have just discovered the idea of sex. They can't stop spouting dirty words, although their idea of sex doesn't go much farther than repeating those words with a salacious chuckle." A more open-minded critic said the following, which just about encompasses the entire case. "Even if those scrawny-neck, bone-eating Neanderthals sell their records in my neighborhood, I am obligated to allow, even encourage them to do so. They are fully protected under the Bill of Rights in their attempts, albeit misjudged, to create their art." But legally, what makes something obscene? The Supreme Court uses the Miller test, a three-pronged system in which all prongs must be met in order for a piece of work to be legally obscene. The Miller test asks, 1. Whether the average person applying contemporary community standards would find that the work, taken as a whole, appeals to prurient interest. 2. Whether the work depicts or describes, in a patently offensive way, sexual conduct specifically defined by the applicable state law. And 3. Whether the work, taken as a whole, lacks serious artistic, political, or scientific value. These were the guidelines in which all prosecutors had to follow. The first trial involving Two Live Crew's obscene tunes was when a music store owner, Tommy Hammond, sold 2 albums by Two Live Crew to undercover police officers. On June 29, 1988, he was arrested on a misdemeanor charge of selling obscene material, but was later acquitted after his appeal was heard. Following this instance, from 1988 to 1989, the number of prosecutions of obscenity by the Department of Justice rose from 37 to 120. Hammond's case and complaints from Jack Thompson, conservative Christian against obscenity, brought attention towards the discussion around Two Live Crew's music and set the stage for the next big trial. On February 9th, Lee County Judge Isaac Anderson ruled that there was a probable cause to believe that As Nasty as They Wanna Be was obscene. Then, on February 22, 1990, the same day during which Hammond was acquitted, then Governor of Florida, Robert Martinez, announced a criminal investigation of the current obscenity laws. In the time following the case, a court order was sent out to all stores selling the album As Nasty as They Want to Be, forcing them to not sell this record to the public. Eventually, on June 6, 1990, Judge Jose A. Gonzalez, member of the U.S. District Court, declared that As Nasty as They Want to Be was obscene and not protected by the First Amendment. In fact, this extended to any performance of the group's music as well, since their performances were just as raunchy as their music. For performing this type of show, the Two Live Crew was arrested at Club Futura in Hollywood, California, on June 10th. After the arrest, the members of Two Live Crew faced potentially 1 year of jail time. In response, the group went back to court in order to appeal for a final review of their music. So, the case went back to court, taking the 6-member jury only 2 hours of deliberation after listening to hours of garbled tape recordings of the performance. On October 21st, the jury ruled that, although extremely explicit, the music had artistic value and was therefore not obscene. In the words of Bruce Rogow, defense lawyer for the Two Live Crew, "This is not guitar music. This is not violin music. This is not piano music. But this is serious art, even though it may be different." After months upon months of legal battles, the Two Live Crew had won their right to play their music and made a huge stride in defense of the First Amendment. When the Two Live Crew won their court case, the First Amendment protected freedom of speech in music, and government halted interference with the music industry. The only current examples of lyrical content attracting government attention are those in which lyrics are used threateningly. In 2013, for example, one teenage boy had posted on Instagram lyrics of rapper Eminem, which referenced the 1999 Columbine's high school shooting in a detailed manner, and captioned it with the idea that he agreed with the song's message, which was definitely a threat to safety. Also, in 2013, Miley Cyrus gyrated on Robin Thicke at the MTV Music Awards. Unlike the Two Live Crew, she was not immediately arrested afterwards. Observing the evidence inductively, we can conclude that there has not been an arrest for lyrical content since the Two Live Crew's First Amendment case. After going through that case, America realized that the government involvement was too much of a hassle, and meeting all 3 prongs of the Miller test was nearly impossible. So, the government reluctantly allowed the First Amendment to protect essentially all music lyrics. The solution was asking record labels to regulate the new warning labels, with a subliminal threat of government interference, might they slip up. And so, Parental Guidance Explicit Content label was born. There were warning labels prior to this one, like the simple Parental Advisory sticker, which was first used on one of Ice-T's hip-hop albums. The first record to carry the Parental Guidance Explicit Content label was Two Live Crew's Banned in the USA, which discusses their struggles with censorship, and of course contains a hefty quantity of their infamous sexual content. At least they knew this time around that their lyrics were securely protected. Two Live Crew stands as a reminder of the trouble it takes to legally deal with obscenity. As long as the record labels comply with explicit content warnings, and the government doesn't defy constitutional rights, the peace will be kept. So, the next time you decide to write a lyrically explicit song, remember that your limits hold no bounds, due to the compromise of the Two Live Crew obscenity trial.